Hello everyone, this video will cover Module 13. Module 13, we are moving on to our last few modules for the class. In this case, you're going to be exploring some things like publishing and other genres of writing beyond just fiction and poetry. So we're going to be doing two assignments here. The first thing is to take a look at literary magazines, and then the second is to look at some other genres of writing, and then choose one of those options and then write a submission for it. So literary magazines, those are often where a lot of writers start publishing. If you're interested in publishing, there's a lot of information out there about literary magazines and how to publish. Typically, most authors, when they're trying to publish something longer, like a novel, they're often based on their success is often based on what else they've published. And so in order to just get out there in the publishing world and start to have your work be seen by other people, they'll often start small and submit short stories and poems and things like that to literary magazines. So literary magazines are what publishes the types of work we've been writing in this class. And there's a lot of good information out there, a lot of good tips out there. And I've got a couple of big lists of different types of literary magazines that are out there. So Poets and Writers is a really good resource for you. And there is a list here of different literary magazines that you can look through. So your task is going to be to find one I would say try to find one that kind of matches the style of writing that you like. Most literary magazines are going to publish only a certain type of writing, and so they might just publish new authors, or they might publish like gothic horror, or they might just publish poetry or something like that. So you want to be looking for the type of magazine that is kind of something that you could potentially, write to or submit something to. So there's lots of different, you can just Google literary magazines. There's a bunch of them out there. But once you've decided on one that you want to share with the class, then let me log in. So then you will want to do some research on the literary magazine itself. So you want to go see, you can read more about it. So I need to create an account. So you can just Google that particular literary magazine. You copy and paste the URL and then answer the questions about it. So your first post is going to be, what is the title? What kind of work does it publish? How often is it published? Is there some kind of prize or contest? That kind of thing. So just poke around on their website and see what kind of things you would have to consider if you wanted to submit there. And then you want to respond. In your responses, try to look to see if there is work on the website for that literary magazine, and see, is there something that you can read? What did you like about it? That kind of thing, to see, so there's some different questions here to ask if you're doing a response to it. So you access the literary magazine and see what it's all about. That allows you to just see, when we're done, then we should have a good list of different literary magazines and kind of some of your opinions about them and what to consider about them if anyone wants to try to get their work published. So then the second part of the module is to work on one other genre. So we've done fiction and we've done poetry. Now we want to explore one other type of genre, and I've given you three options here. You can do creative nonfiction, you can do drama, or you can do a graphic story or graphic novel type of writing. So there are a lot of different types of creative writing out there, and so this is just, I'm giving you these three options. These are the three most common that are taught kind of at this level. And so it really depends on what you're most comfortable with. If you are more a creative person, you like drawing and art, I would say a graphic story would be a good option. Whereas drama, for those of you who have done something on stage, writing up your own play would be a good idea. And then a lot of students do pick the creative nonfiction. It's basically telling a story of personal experience, similar to just a memoir style of writing where you use first person from your own perspective, that kind of thing. And typically creative nonfiction is a little bit harder to write than other types of nonfiction, because you're really trying to blend that creativity with the factual information. So it's not just like a nonfiction type of essay. It is, we have this like singular controlling idea that helps with the creativity, with the blending of details, and often there's kind of an extended metaphor through it and that kind of thing. So there's lots of different things to think about with these different genres that you're practicing. So you only have to pick one. You don't have to do all three. And so once you've decided which one you're going to do, you want to make sure that you're following the criteria for each one. And then I've got a bunch of resources in here for you, and we're just practicing at this point. So it, probably won't be the best thing you've ever written. And we're not doing like the whole process like we've done with some of our others. But in this case, you're doing, just the one piece, and there's a lot of different things out there that help you. So I've got some resources here. There is a section in one of our textbooks about creative nonfiction, and there's a good article here. If you decide to do a graphic novel, Canva has some really good like comic strip templates that you can use, but there's a lot of good digital tools out there. And I've had some really interesting, really fun, like comic style things that have been turned in. And really that one is one where you really don't have as much to write, because the story is kind of contained within just those few frames. And you can tell a fairly short story really easily. The challenge is with all of the artistry, getting the artistic part of it down. And then plays tend to be a little bit longer, and they're a little bit more challenging because you have to write, you're just writing the dialogue part. And so there's not, you set the scene a little bit, you decide who the characters are, but otherwise the story is told through the dialogue itself. And so that's the challenge. So the last thing in here then is the spot to actually submit the other genre. And I don't have a grading rubric for this one other than the AI one, because all three genres are so different. It's hard to get one that would just cover all criteria. So it's basically going to be graded on, whether or not you formatted it correctly, whether or not you really did the style of writing that it was asking for and met those few criteria for it. So if you have questions as you're working on this, it's a lot to do in 1 week. Just, keep in mind, you can always send me an email if you get lost or confused, or if you want me to look over a draft or something, make sure you're doing it right. Otherwise, have a great week.